Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, a very warm welcome to you. My name is Lethu and thank you so much for tuning in. So if you are into personal growth and self-help content, this is the channel for you. Please do press that red subscribe button down below to join the family, and let's get into today's video. So in January, I did a little goal setting series and I hope that those tips were helpful for you guys. But if you're still struggling to get started on that goal or that task, then this is the perfect video for you, because today we're talking all about procrastination and how to beat it. And my first tip is to identify and acknowledge the source of your procrastination. So when we procrastinate, it's often one of two reasons: fear or lack of motivation. So when a task or a goal is too big, too challenging, and too intimidating, it will often induce feelings of fear. So fear of failure because the task is too difficult, fear of lack of ability because you feel like you don't have the capabilities or the potential to carry out a certain task to completion or successfully, and even feelings of fear that you may not meet your own expectations or the expectations of others. And so because that task or that goal induces those feelings of fear, we will continue to procrastinate in order to avoid confronting those negative emotions, because we don't want to disappoint ourselves. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have lack of motivation. So this occurs when a task is just too simple and it's just too boring. So when a task is lacking that novelty and it just doesn't inspire you, you're going to continue to procrastinate on getting started on that task. So the Goldilocks rule states that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their capabilities. Not too hard, not too easy, just right. So once you know where you are on the spectrum, it's easier for you to then deal with those emotions and then take action, get started on that task. Which leads me to my second point: just take action. So we often rely on bursts of motivation to get started on a certain task, when in reality, motivation isn't the cause of action, it's the result of action. So we don't have motivation, we get it through taking action. And once you get started on a task, you'll get into a flow state and you'll build momentum with every little step that you take. So you'll realize that it's not the actual task that's the problem, it's getting started that's the problem. And so once you have that unlocked, once you know how to get started, the rest becomes easier, because that resistance decreases with every little step that you take. So if you are procrastinating because you have feelings of fear, then the best way for you to take action is to break down that task into small, manageable pieces of work. And so what that does is that it makes you feel capable of accomplishing that goal. It makes you feel like there's going to be a win at the end of it all. And when we feel like we're going to be successful with a certain task, we're less likely to procrastinate. And so we're more likely to actually get started with that task. So I spoke about dopamine in my How to Set Goals video. If you missed it, dopamine is a chemical that is released by our brains whenever we feel moments of pleasure and of satisfaction. But most importantly, whenever we anticipate that something is going to be rewarding, so that there's a reward at the end of it all. And so when we feel like we're going to accomplish this goal, we're going to be successful with accomplishing this goal, or we're going to be successful with this task, that will trigger our brain to release dopamine, and therefore we're motivated to get started on that task. But if you're on the other end of the spectrum and you lack the motivation to get started on a task because it's just too boring and it's just too simple, this is very easy, because you can find ways to make it more exciting and more challenging for yourself. And another thing that you can do is to find ways to give that task more meaning by reminding yourself of your why. So why are you doing it? And don't just look at it from the surface level, go deeper, find the real meaning or the real reason why you have to get this task done. So if you want to get a good mark, if you want to pass, or if you want to get a promotion, ask yourself, why do I need this promotion? Why do I need to get good marks? And once you remind yourself of the real reason why you have to get this thing done, that will overpower those negative emotions and it'll force you to get started on that task. Use the 2-minute rule. So the 2-minute rule is James Clear's strategy on how to beat procrastination. James Clear is the author of the book Atomic Habits. I've spoken about this book way too many times, so let's move right along. So the idea here is to scale down your habit, your goal, or your task into a 2-minute version, and to make it as easy as possible for you to get started on that thing. Because like I said, once you get started, once you're able to get started, once you have that unlock, the rest becomes easier because we experience the most amount of resistance at the starting point. So James Clear refers to this as a gateway habit. It's the habit, that thing that you can do within 2 minutes, which just leads you down a productive path. So the way that I implement the 2-minute rule into my life is whenever I get out of bed or whenever I think about exercising or working out, I will immediately get into my workout clothes. That's the habit that I can do within 2 minutes. And once that habit is done, I know that the workout is as good as done as well, because there's absolutely no way that I am getting out of my workout clothes without actually working out. So find that thing that you can do within 2 minutes, that 2-minute habit, whereby once that is done, the habits, the actual thing that you want to get done is as good as done as well. So if you have an assignment to type or a presentation to prepare, the thing that you can do within 2 minutes is to open up your laptop onto your Word document or onto PowerPoint. And once that is done, you're less likely to procrastinate and you're more likely to actually get started on that task. So the point is to master the habit of showing up. The truth is, a habit must be established before it can be improved. If you can't learn the basic skill of showing up, then you have little hope of mastering the finer details. Instead of trying to engineer a perfect habit from the start, do the easy thing on a more consistent basis. You have to standardize before you optimize. Take into consideration Parkinson's law. So Parkinson's law states that the amount of work required adjusts to the time available for its completion. So basically what this means is that if you allocate a certain amount of time to completing a task, that's the amount of time it's going to take you to actually complete it. So if you give yourself 3 hours to complete a 30-minute task, it's going to take you 3 hours to complete that task. So what you want to do is to set deadlines and to create a time constraint, which leads me to my next point. Use the Pomodoro Technique. So the Pomodoro Technique was established on the basis that all large tasks can be divided into short intervals called Pomodoros, and each of those Pomodoros are divided by or separated by a short break. So you can have a 25-minute session of intense focused work and then a 5-minute break. So what you do is you first choose a task that you're going to do, set a timer for 25 minutes and make sure that in those 25 minutes it is intense focused work. So avoid distractions and make sure that your environment is conducive to whatever it is that you're trying to do. And then after those 25 minutes, once your timer goes off, take your 5-minute break. And then after 4 of these cycles, you can take a much longer needed break. So remember that this is just a template, so you can make adjustments where necessary. So you can work for 50 minutes straight and then take a 10-minute break. It's up to you. So this strategy is perfect for people who believe that they work best under pressure, because having that time constraint will create a sense of urgency, and so it'll force you to be as productive as you possibly can be and to avoid procrastinating. Prime and design your environment for success. Whenever you organize your space for its intended purpose, you are priming it to make the next action easy. So with priming your environment, you're basically preparing it for the thing that you want to do. So if you are procrastinating on working out, you can beat that procrastination by making sure that your workout clothes are out in the open where you can see them. So prepare your yoga mat, your dumbbells, your water bottle, everything that you need. Make sure that it's ready for you in advance, so that when it's time for you to work out, that's all you have to do. You don't have to look for all of these things and prepare your environment. So basically, you want to make sure that your environment is conducive for whatever it is that you want to do. And then you're going to want to design your environment for success. So with this, you're basically creating visual and obvious cues that will initiate that habit, that will cause you to do the thing that you want to do. So for me, one of my goals this year is to eat fruits and vegetables every single day. And the way that I design my environment for success is by making sure that my fruits that are in the fridge, that they are closer to the door, so that whenever I open the door of the fridge, that's the first thing that I see, and so it reminds me to eat my fruits. Because a lot of the times I have had my fruits behind other ingredients and I've completely forgotten about those fruits until they go bad. So that helps me to do the thing that I want to do. We mentally assign our habits to locations in which they occur: the home, the office, the gym. Each location develops a connection to certain habits and routines. So because of our routines, we often develop relationships and even context cues with certain rooms, locations, and objects. And so whenever you see a certain object, or whenever you're in a certain room, you're going to associate it with a certain or specific habit, activity, or even a feeling. And so when you try to study in your bedroom, when usually you spend time watching movies, series, and sleeping in your bedroom, you're going to feel a lot of resistance towards that because your brain has trained your body that we watch movies, series, and we sleep in this room. So you're gonna wanna be really intentional about what you do and where you do it in order to avoid procrastinating, because the more you try to study in your bedroom, the more you're gonna procrastinate because your brain thinks that you need to be doing something else in this room. So a stable environment where everything has a place and a purpose is an environment where habits can easily form. Reduce the friction. When deciding where to practice a new habit, it is best to choose a place that is already along the path of your daily routine. Habits are easier to build when they fit into the flow of your life. So don't try to do something or to start a new habit in a high friction environment. Try to reduce the friction as best as you possibly can. So don't try to write a book in the mornings when your household is chaotic, everyone is running around preparing for the day. Don't try to read a book at the end of a long day right before bed. Don't try to start a healthy diet during the festive or the holiday season, because you are going to continue procrastinating on those goals or those things. Because when we have to make decisions in the moment, we will often choose the path of least resistance and of least effort. So you're gonna do whatever's easy in that moment. You're gonna eat whatever your family's eating during that time. You are going to just go straight to bed because you're tired, you're exhausted from your day. So try and remove the friction and try to create a conducive environment, because the idea is to create an environment where doing the right thing is as easy as possible. And that brings me to the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and that you actually found it helpful and useful. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any other strategies to avoid procrastination. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And remember to never give up on the life you know you deserve, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.